On today's Minute of the Apes, Cornelius gets squirrely, or does he?
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
Well, this is a divine bomb.
Well, I was not human, and I'm not human! There is fire, there is smoke.
The minute of the apes. 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 Yay!
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. And I'm going to start off by saying something to Richard, because as we did that tease and I winked at you, I was winking because I actually didn't know you were going to put the "or does he" on it, and I hit the music cue. That's why it clipped you. I thought it was a great tease. I'm sorry, I kind of jumped your cue. I
That's
didn't know you
fine.
were doing
That's fine.
that.
That's fine. It was kind of a last minute moment too, because he doesn't actually get the Ricky the squirrel.
Right.
But it's a squirrely moment.
It is a squirrely moment, and I
Stop.
What, you don't want to start with the puns already?
You're the only dad here, so stop.
You all have doggy babies, so you get to be dads too. But
Okay.
we don't ever rehearse. We don't really rehearse those teases.
No, we don't. We don't.
And usually I can kind of sense where that's going to go and cue that music.
Right.
But I at least wanted to apologize to you. I didn't
That's
mean
fine.
to step
That's
all
fine.
over your tease.
I mean, it's Monday. I'm hanging out with my best squirrel friends.
There you. Oh. Okay, so it's going to be that kind of week, is it?
It is. It is. I'm just trying to get a nut.
We'll so we'll probably hit it in between. But Richard just came back from a trip to L.A., right?
I did. Yeah.
And so we'll hit on what you did there and those kind of things. But it has that jovial kind of nutty feel to it all.
Hey, I had clothes on in the two photos I showed you.
Yeah, yes, you did. Thank God.
Not
But
everywhere.
some of them might get a little ballsy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, man, this is going to be a great week. Even though these are minutes that what we have coming up this week have a lot of intrigue to them. There's
don't get so testies. All right.
There's not a lot to talk about, so we'll supplement with squirrel, nut,
Zipper.
all kinds of fun little punny jokes. So
Exactly, yeah. We'll save it for the in-between, so just this week it'll be just the tip.
wow. All right, Sean, minute 51. Tell us what's going on, or this is going to keep going all
I
day.
feel like I got the shaft on that one. All right, we're going to start minute 51 with Corny still searching for that darn squirrel, and ends with Aldo showing how rock beats paper. I can't even talk. How rock beats paper and scissors.
There you go. Okay, minute 51, Battle for the Planet of the Apes.
But without guns, we have no power. We shall take the guns. We shall keep them. We need power. Guns. Run. Power. We are elite. We are super race. We have the right to lead. Without us, there would be no army. But
As in minute 51, we have a village worth of apes and humans, plus a ghost city's worth of radioactive people and little Ricky.
Okay, so the minute that you just heard basically is the moment in which Cornelius is climbing through the tree and happens upon the gorillas hidden behind the leaves around a campfire. And Aldo is sort of leading the beginnings of an insurrection.
The beginnings of a murmuring. We're guns.
What is he saying off the top? I never
It's
could.
like super race.
That's what I thought, too.
And there's no
said-
army without the gorillas. We stuff like that.
So guns are power. We shall keep them. We're the super race. Without guns, there would be no army. We are the army. Without guerrillas, there would be no army. in the script, basically, Cornelius is supposed to kind of wander through the woods and come across this, and hear Aldo saying, "An army without guns has no power. We need power. Guns are power. We shall get them. We shall keep them. With guns, we shall." Well, that's the next minute. But I think what they did here in order to kind of build this moment and lead Cornelius down this path was just have Aldo say a bunch of lines, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them are repeating just to kind of get the tease of the audience know what they're not bored with Cornelius just kind of wandering through the woods.
Well, the focus of the moment begins with Cornelius going after Ricky. That's where our focus is. So it draws it in. And what I'm curious about, as you read those lines, is this Aikens? I don't want to say
Claude.
Atkins. Is it Aikens' reading of this to make him so rudimentary in his speech pattern? Because what's written on the page, I could almost see a maniacal guns or power. You could do those kind of things, but he takes it to that
Just
level of almost
like
a
grunting,
child.
Yeah. Gun, power, super race.
Does it ever say that within the script that Aldo's speech is that of a very remedial?
No,
Yeah, because- So
that's his choice.
His voice, his
Okay,
voice
I don't like
booms
it.
out. His voice booms out. He says, "An army without guns has no power. We need power. Guns are power. We shall get them. We shall keep them." I mean, it's still rudimentary in how it's written. I mean,
But you could say that a couple of different
simple
ways.
sentences, that
Yes.
kind of stuff, and they had him. It's like super race was not in here, so I'm
Right.
pretty sure that they either wrote a few of the things for him to say, or they had him just kind of riff for a little bit, because you want Cornelius to stumble upon them and to overhear some things, but Aldo doesn't talk in complete sentences. We weren't going to hear a speech from him. We were going to hear these brief moments, and so just based upon the guns, they probably had him just kind of
Right.
like, "Hey, we're really not going to pick this up, but we just need to hear your voice. Can you just throw some words out there while he's coming up on you? We'll just record it." And then they decided in editing to just kind of build it up a little bit more and to lead Cornelius more there. That'd be my guess. I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, in these movies, we've heard and seen gorillas and orangutans talk, but not so much. Chimpanzees and orangutans talk like us, more eloquent, and then we have the gorillas that are more savage and talking in
I do have
short
a
sentences.
note for that for a later minute in this week with one of the gorillas like doing a complete sentence. I'm like, what?
What happened here? Yeah.
Where did that come from?
How does this mean guns?
Well, okay.
That's what I'm trying to understand.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Describe to the audience.
Make a hand like you're holding a baseball in it, and then just smash it on your other hand's flat palm. How is that signifying guns?
As I watch it, I did wonder why that's not a fist. Usually if you're going to do these kind of, this is what we need, and I'm slamming my fist into my open palm. Instead, you're right. It's almost like he's sort of feeling an avocado,
Yeah.
and it's like, I don't understand that. However, what I do like is the look in his face through that makeup is this almost savage
Right.
readiness to go out and decimate anything he can. And I really like it. I love how the scene's lit. Once again, we do not use blue for the semblance of moonlight. We have a yellow cast to the light. We have the motivated flicker of flame on a tree, which if you really look at where the fire is emanating from, it couldn't get that flicker
Yeah.
on it. But we need to tell the audience fire. And, have you ever... You may know these things, but that kind of thing is usually some hand stand. There's a light, and he has a gel that he's rolling, like that, so that it gets that flicker. But it's part of that language that we've all come to know and expect.
So we hear Aldo speaking. The listening audience didn't see it. We do see a small encampment of gorillas around a small fire through some trees. Cornelius sees this, and I don't know at this point, is he given up his search for Ricky, he's trying to pursue Ricky, or whether he's now trying to move in closer to Aldo. I couldn't quite tell what his motivation was, but he did climb a tree and do a pretty substantial leap between the tree and
a vine.
And a
somewhere,
vine.
Yeah.
I was kind of impressed that they had the actor do that kind of gigantic stunt across to get closer to what Aldo is saying.
Yeah, I just think it's funny that the only ape that we see do anything ape-like is the little person. So that, all the adults are, no, I'm not getting that fucking tree. Are you kidding me? I'll throw my back out. My sciatica.
So I'll go ahead and put this out now that you're eventually going to hear an interview we're going to do today with a guy that made a documentary about the making of the ape makeup, and it made me, as I watched that again, think. And I'm not going to criticize us for wanting more ape-like things. If you think about where these films were at this time, just the fact still that apes could talk was probably enough to wow them to where they weren't thinking of that. And I think now with our hyper-realism...
Well, now with the new movie.
Yeah, you almost have to have that or people are going to be like, come on. And I think to an extent, I think that when you look at Tim Burton's film that we'll get to next... you begin to see that evolution of adding in these ape-like gestures. So I was thrilled when I saw this kind of leap, very monkey, apish-like. Whether it's a little person or not, I at least like that. And especially the way he leaps. It's very... You see that
seems
thing.
almost like the flying squirrel kind of movement. His body kind of opens up as he's trying to reach towards something.
Right.
Does it really well, and then he gets a little bit closer, and that's when we see the little bit more of a tight on Aldo as he's saying, guns and power. And Sean's right. He's making a motion where his right hand is down and open, and his left hand is up with his fingers kind of pushed together. And he's making the four fingers and thumb kind of tap into the top palm. And, wondering, knowing that they had to do voiceover a lot for audio coming through the mask, maybe he couldn't have made a fist. Maybe it was going to make too much noise if he'd made a fist. Therefore, he's using his fingers to tap his palm.
Do you think they thought...
But if they're going to replace it later, that audio on set
It
doesn't
wouldn't matter. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I was just wondering if maybe that's why he didn't have a
don't
fist.
know. Yeah.
It's unique. It's a very, very unique gesture. It's not necessarily... is it ape-like? Maybe he's thinking about the fact that apes have their hands in that kind of...
Do you think they thought it would just be look goofy to have a little finger guns and doing
Without
that
question, yes. But why doesn't he put his
fingers together?
Thread his fingers together and show the power of coming together? That would make more sense than...
I don't know. I still think it's somewhat ape-like. I think it's a very intentional choice to make this particular movement.
Well, he's no longer with us, I don't believe, so we can't exactly call him up and ask him.
Hey, buddy, what's up?
Did anybody get a Scarface vibe on there? Where we get first in America, you get the guns, and then you get the power, and then you get the bananas.
Do you know how long it's been since I've seen that movie? I barely even remember that.
Okay.
So no, I didn't.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I was the only one. All right.
Again, there's not a lot to unpack here. You're really looking at a moment of a young person leaping through a tree and beginning to hear it.
Well, I would say at this point we are now looking at an uprising. This is our first tease of. We know that Aldo does not like Caesar.
Right.
We know that he's questioning what he's doing. They just had the meeting with the council. Now we're actually discovering that Aldo has his own plans.
True.
Has his own plans with the guns. I mean, I think it is the start of something sinister within the ranks of the Ape City.
Is Aldo going to have to answer Mandemus's questions 3 before he gets the guns, or are they going to have to take him down?
I have a feeling they're going to jack up Mandemus. So,
But Aldo already has guns. The guerrillas, because of the army, already have all the guns anyway, right?
So I'm curious with Mr. Neophyte playing the Apes person. I know you've made your notes for this week, but when you watch this, what do you think is coming? When you're watching a child listen in on this, what were you thinking is going to happen?
Well, obviously it's going to be a child in danger at some point. I didn't know if it was going to be he's kidnapped or if he gets killed or if he gets injured. I think last week we were talking about just because of the way they're cross-cutting and not paying attention to the time divides that's necessary in this. It felt like the mutants were going to... Cornelius was going to run into the mutants instead, and that was going to kick everything off. I didn't expect him to run into the guerrillas starting a war. Right. Which also brings up another point. The guerrillas are saying that they make up the army. If it wasn't for them, there wouldn't be an army. Is it only guerrillas are allowed in the army, or only guerrillas have qualified for the army? Does an orangutan or chimpanzee, can they serve in the army as well? Is this literally class divided by your species?
I mean, it hasn't passed popular culture for the Ape Congress to approve orangutans being into the army yet. I mean, orangutans want to. It's just not. This culture and society is just not acceptable yet. They're trying.
Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah,
Okay.
they just got the right to vote recently.
Okay.
I do find it very interesting that this world has never defined that 100%. Who is the science? Who is the religion? Who is this? However, we've assumed these things because we see them with them in that. I do think that would actually be kind of interesting to watch
a chimpanzee in
Yeah.
the army or an orangutan leading a
But you
battalion.
think about the one chimpanzee that led the insurrection against the humans.
You think
Caesar.
he'd be leading an army?
Yeah, and you think, well, we've not heard him definitively come back and say, and we've even clamored for that, that feeling of I don't want a gun in my hand again. I've seen how far this can go.